If he wanted me, I'll leave you tomorrow. She said about her coworker. So I ended things that night. He rejected her. Her reputation collapsed. And I've never been more grateful for her cruelty. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I always thought loyalty was the one thing I never had to doubt in a relationship. It's how I was raised. If you commit to someone, you show up for them, you invest in them, and you don't keep one foot out the door. That's how I treated my girlfriend Emily for the 2 years we were together. I wasn't flashy or exciting. Not the type to sweep her off her feet with surprise vacations or spontaneous getaways. But I was steady. I worked hard, paid for most of our dinners. Listened to her rants when she came home exhausted, and reminded her she was capable when she doubted herself. I thought that counted for something. Emily worked in marketing at a mid-sized company. The job stressed her out, and she often came home complaining about deadlines, clients, or office politics. I'd sit with her while she vented, sometimes for an hour straight. My job wasn't nearly as glamorous or social, so I didn't have as many stories to swap, but I was always ready to listen. At first, she appreciated it. She'd curl up on the couch next to me, dump out all her frustrations, and end the night, thanking me for always being her rock. I liked that role. I didn't need to be the exciting one. I just wanted to be the dependable one she could lean on. But slowly, her tone started changing. A few months ago, she began bringing up her coworker, Ryan. More often, he was some mid-level manager in her office, apparently very confident and ambitious. At first, it was little comments. Ryan doesn't let anyone push him around in meetings. He knows his worth. Or Ryan just told our boss off about a deadline. He's so bold. The way she said his name stuck with me. It wasn't that she was openly gushing, but there was something in the way she lingered on the details. Like she admired him more than she wanted to admit. I told myself I was being paranoid. People mention coworkers all the time. She was probably just venting. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a comparison buried in her words. One night, she came home late after a work happy hour. She dropped her bag on the chair and kicked off her shoes, buzzing with energy. You know, she said, grabbing a glass of water. Ryan was hilarious tonight. He has this way of telling stories that just gets everyone laughing. I raised an eyebrow. Sounds like you had a good time. Yeah. It's just, he's different. So confident. So charismatic. People just pay attention to him. She looked at me almost like she wanted me to react. I kept my voice steady, and you don't think people pay attention to you. She rolled her eyes. You know what I mean? You're safe, predictable. It's not bad. It's just different. The word safe stung even though she tried to soften it. I brushed it off with a nod, but inside it settled like a splinter. Over the next few weeks, little digs started creeping in. When I hesitated about making a big purchase, she muttered, Ryan wouldn't overthink it. He just does things. When I declined a last-minute weekend trip because of work, she said, you're too careful. Ryan would just go, it wasn't constant, but it was enough to make me notice, enough to make me feel like she was holding me up against someone else's shadow. I didn't confront her. I thought maybe it was just a phase, or maybe she didn't realize how her words landed. I kept showing up the way I always had, patient, loyal, willing to listen. But the truth is, a part of me had already started to wonder how much she really valued that. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't usually hit you out of nowhere. There are cracks in the wall long before it collapses. I just didn't realize how wide those cracks had gotten until the night she finally said the words that would end everything. A couple of weeks later, Emily and I were sitting on the couch after dinner. She had a glass of wine in her hand, her legs curled under her, scrolling through something on her phone. I was half watching a game on TV, half listening to her chatter about work. It started off harmless. She was telling me about a presentation her team had to give, but as usual, Ryan came up. Ryan just took over the whole thing. She said, shaking her head but smiling, he basically threw out the original slides and redid everything in an hour. And everyone loved it. I swear that man can talk his way into or out of anything. I muted the TV. You mention him a lot. She blinked as if she hadn't noticed. Do I? I mean, he's just the kind of person people notice. You'd like him if you met him, I'm sure. I said carefully, but you realize how it sounds when you're constantly comparing me to him, right? Her expression flickered. A flash of irritation. I'm not comparing. I'm just saying he's impressive. You don't think I'm impressive. She sat down her wine and Sahil, don't make this a thing. You're stable, reliable. That's a good thing. But Ryan, he's bold. He's not afraid to take risks. Sometimes I wish he'd be more like that. There it was. Not just admiration anymore. A direct comparison. I leaned back, choosing my words. So, you want me to be someone else? I didn't say that. She frowned defensive. Now, I just mean, sometimes you play it too safe. You think too much before you act. Life is short. You know, don't you ever wonder if you're missing out. I let the silence hang. She filled it. Of course, she always did. Look, it's not like I don't appreciate you. She continued, you've been good to me. But if we're being brutally honest, don't you ever wonder if we're just temporary? That one hit hard. Temporary? I repeated. She shrugged almost casually. I mean, what if one day we realize we want different things? What if you meet someone who matches you better? Her voice trailed, but the implication was there. Or you, what? I asked. She looked at me, a little smirk tugging at her lips, like she was testing me. Or I meet someone who's more aligned with what I want. I felt the knot tightened in my chest, but I kept my voice even. Like Ryan, her smirk widened. You said it, not me. Emily. I said slowly, do you hear yourself? You're talking about another guy. I'm just holding a spot until he notices you. She laughed lightly, but there was no warmth in it. You're being so sensitive. I'm just being honest. Everyone has those thoughts. No. I said quietly, not everyone does. For a moment, she looked at me like she was daring me to push back. And then she went for it. The line that snapped the last thread between us. Honestly, if Ryan wanted me, I'd leave you tomorrow. Don't act surprised. You know it's true. She said it like she was tossing a grenade, waiting to see how big the explosion would be. But there wasn't one, not for me. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't beg her to take it back. I just looked at her, really looked at her and saw the truth. Plain as day. She wasn't joking. She wasn't bluffing. Somewhere inside, she believed it. She'd already told me exactly where her loyalty stood. And it wasn't with me. So I nodded almost to myself and unmuted the TV. She blinked, thrown off by my lack of reaction. What? You're not going to say anything, she asked. I kept my eyes on the screen. No. You've said enough. For the first time in our relationship, she didn't have a comeback. She sat there, restless, sipping her wine, probably expecting me to blow up or start a fight. But I didn't. I was done before the words even left her mouth. I didn't sleep much that night, lying next to her while she scrolled on her phone like nothing had happened. But I already knew what I had to do. Tomorrow, I was going to end it. The next morning, I woke up before Emily. She was still curled up in bed, scrolling on her phone, hair messy, yawning like nothing had happened. I made coffee and sat at the table, staring into the steam while I went over everything in my head. I'd spent 2 years being patient, loyal, steady. I gave her my time, my energy, my support. And in one smug sentence, she told me I was just a placeholder until something better came along. I wasn't going to argue with her about it. I wasn't going to wait around for her to make good on that promise. I was done. When she finally came into the kitchen, she smiled faintly. Morning. You're up early. I nodded. We need to talk. Her smile faltered. That sounds serious. It is. I set my mug down. Emily, what you said last night about Ryan, about leaving me if he wanted you, that wasn't a joke, was it? She blinked, then forced a laugh. Come on, you still hung up on that. I was just being dramatic. I held her gaze. No, you weren't. You meant it. Her arms crossed defensively. You're overreacting. Couples say dumb things sometimes. It doesn't mean anything. I shook my head. It means everything. You showed me exactly where your loyalty stands. I'm not going to compete for basic respect. Her mouth opened, then closed. She stared at me like she couldn't believe I wasn't caving. So what? You're breaking up with me over one sentence. It wasn't just one sentence. It's been building for months. The comparisons, the way you talk about him last night was just the truth coming out. And I heard it loud and clear. Her tone shifted. sharper now. You're seriously going to throw this all away because I said something stupid when I'd had a glass of wine. I stood up calm. No, you threw it away when you decided to measure me against someone else. I'm not temporary. I'm not a placeholder. But you made it clear that's all I am to you. Her eyes narrowed. You're being ridiculous. You always overthink things. You'll regret this. When you cool down, I'm not angry. I said simply, I'm just done. The look on her face was almost comical. Like she couldn't wrap her head around me, not fighting for her. She was used to having the upper hand, used to me smoothing things over. This time, I wasn't doing it. Fine. She snapped. If that's how you feel, then go. So I did. I packed a bag that afternoon and stayed at a friend's place for a while. Emily texted a few times, short messages like, we need to talk. And are you serious right now? I didn't reply. By the third day, she stopped. And that silence, it hurt. But it also brought clarity. I missed the comfort of our routine. But not her. Not really. What I missed was the version of her I thought I had. The one who needed me, appreciated me. The real Emily was someone else entirely. Someone who thought admiration for another man was fair game in a committed relationship. Someone who thought loyalty was optional. I didn't owe her anything after that. She, on the other hand, didn't take long to move on. Mutual friends told me she was bragging at work about being done with Safe Man and how she was keeping her options open. When people pressed, she dropped Ryan's name in that same admiring tone. I didn't care, or at least I was learning not to. Every day, I ignored her. Every day, I stayed silent. I felt a little stronger. I threw myself into work, the gym, late night drives just to clear my head. My phone stayed quiet, and I liked it that way. For the first time since we started dating, I wasn't bending myself around her moods or her words. I was just me, and for once, that was enough. About 2 weeks after the breakup, I got a text from a friend who worked in the same building as Emily. He didn't know the full story, just that we weren't together anymore. Dude, he wrote, you're not going to believe what's going on with Emily at the office. I didn't reply right away, but when I finally did, he called me. That's when I learned that Emily's little crush on Ryan hadn't been the subtle, harmless thing she thought it was. Apparently, she'd been a little too vocal around the office, telling coworkers that if Ryan gave her the chance, she'd ditch me in a heartbeat. She must have thought she was being cute or edgy. But workplaces aren't high school. People talk, people judge, and word had gotten back to Ryan himself. Here's the thing. Ryan had a girlfriend, a long-term serious one. He wasn't interested in Emily. He wasn't flattered by her open admiration. He was embarrassed. According to my friend, when she finally tried to make a move, nothing physical. Just a flirty comment when they were alone in the break room. Ryan shut her down immediately. He told her flat out he wasn't interested, that he loved his girlfriend, and that Emily needed to stop. And because offices are little ecosystems where gossip spreads faster than email, everyone knew by lunch. Suddenly, Emily wasn't the confident, charming coworker anymore. She was the one who humiliated herself, chasing after a guy who wanted nothing to do with her. People avoided sitting near her in the cafeteria. The women in the office gave her that mix of pity and judgment. Even the men who used to joke with her started keeping their distance. My friend described it as watching a social stock market crash in real time. I wish I could say I felt bad for her, but I didn't. I remembered her words, if he wanted me, I'd leave you tomorrow. And all I felt was a cold sort of justice. She'd gambled her dignity on Ryan, noticing her, and she lost publicly. A week later, she texted me again. Can we talk, please? I didn't answer. The next day, I missed you. I was stupid. I didn't mean what I said. Still, I stayed silent. Then came the longer ones. Walls of text about how she was in a bad headspace, how she was scared of commitment and testing me. When she said those things, that one made me laugh out loud. Testing me, like I was supposed to prove my worth by sticking around while she fantasized about another guy. By then, I knew the truth. She didn't miss me. She missed the stability I gave her. She missed having someone at home who treated her with respect, who absorbed her moods without complaint. She missed the safety net. And now that Ryan had rejected her and her co-workers were whispering behind her back, she wanted that safety net again. But I wasn't going to be it. One night, maybe 3 weeks after the breakup, I ran into Emily by accident. I was at the grocery store picking up a few things after work when I saw her down the aisle holding a basket. She froze when she spotted me. For a second, she looked like she might turn around and leave. But then she walked over, forcing a smile. Hey, she said, voice soft. Hey, I replied. Neutral. She glanced at the items in my basket, then back at me. You look good. I shrugged. I feel good. That seemed to throw her. She bit her lip, shifting her weight. Listen, about everything that happened, I messed up. I wasn't thinking. I said things I didn't mean. I tilted my head. You seemed pretty clear at the time. Her face flushed. I was trying to be funny, to get a reaction. I thought maybe if I made you jealous, you'd... She trailed off. Treat you better. I finished. She winced. I didn't mean it like that. I don't know. I was stupid. And now everything at work is a mess. People are talking about me like... She stopped herself, realizing she was slipping back into self-pity. I just wish we could go back to before. You and me, we were good together. I looked at her for a long moment. I saw the desperation behind her eyes, the cracks in her confidence. She wasn't the woman who smugly said she'd leave me for Ryan anymore. She was someone who'd burned her bridge and wanted to cross it again. But I didn't feel anger anymore, just distance. We were good. I said finally, until you showed me how little I meant to you. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Her eyes glistened. So that's it. That's it. I adjusted my basket and gave her a polite nod. Take care of yourself. Emily. Then I walked away, leaving her standing in the aisle, clutching her basket like it was the only thing holding her up. Driving home that night, I felt lighter than I had in months. Not because I told her off, not because she was humiliated at work, but because I realized I was truly free from her comparisons, her manipulations, her half-hearted affection. She was living in the wreckage of her own choices, and I didn't have to be part of it. For the first time in a long time, I was thankful. She showed me who she really was. Thankful I walked away. Thankful she was gone. And that's the thing about people who treat you like an option. Once you realize your own worth, you never want to go back to being their backup plan again. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.